Disclaimer: these videos do not condone drug use. The video may contain graphic content or drug use. The content provided by the channel is simply for entertainment while supporting and recommending harm reduction. Be safe and enjoy.
What's up, guys? It is your boy Phantom420 here, and as you see, I had to add a disclaimer in my video because videos are now starting to get age restricted. So, I have to. But anyways, today we're going to be going into what it's like to trip and what to expect, and we're going to be talking about acid, mushroom, DMT, and you know, basically the main popular psychedelics that you can trip with, and to make sure that everybody is prepared for what they're getting into. That's the main key. So then, no. All right. So I believe that the first thing that people should pay attention to on mushrooms is the first symptoms of tripping is you'll start getting really smiley, really laughy, really sometimes I get really feeling like a feeling of being really heavy, really nauseous kinda. Um and then I'll start getting really, really laughy. And then the first things that I'll normally see is a ghost like hallucination where everything if y'all ever seen the filter of or the ghost filter of camera, how everything kind of follows or traces, that's kind of like what the visuals will be like at first. Or it'll look like a water stream kind of going down the walls, or like a rivery motion around what you see. Everything will kind of have this like liquid appearance. Typically around walls, I typically start seeing like the ceiling look like it's dripping or melting, and then I typically see geometric patterns in like the floor. Now the differences between mushrooms and acid is that one, mushrooms are a lot more laid back and chill and more relaxing, more down to earth, while acid is more like a little bit more intense on hallucinations. Like, for an example, if a door's cracked open, I can see that door start opening and closing while I'm on acid. But if I'm on mushrooms, the door will look the same and it won't really do much. So it has a lot more of an intense feeling when you're on acid. With mushrooms, you will also start feeling a very tingly, euphoric sensation throughout your body. And I tend to yawn a lot more. I don't know what it is with me and mushrooms, but I yawn like crazy when I take them. So, mushrooms also have a lot more of a positive effect on emotions. So it's harder for me personally to have a bad trip on mushrooms, while a lot of people have more bad trips on mushrooms than they do acid. So it really kind of depends on the person. So let me make this clear real quick. Not everybody's going to have the same effects on any of these drugs, because one, psychedelics, it's all based on how really your mind is and your mindset and what kind of effects it has for you. So keep in mind, just because I give you, these feelings and telling you what it's going to be like, I can't for sure say this is just for my own interpretation of these drugs. Now with mushrooms, while the hallucinations are rather mild, I wouldn't necessarily say mild, but moderate, they're also pretty vivid when it happens. But I'm not over here seeing, figures all the time, or you're not really gonna see like cartoons like you think you would, or Like, whenever people say this, it really depends on the type of mushrooms you get and how and their potency level. Because I've never really seen cartoons. I've seen cartoons on 2 different trips, but it wasn't anything too heavy. It was like little rock people, and then shadow figures, like shadow figures of human bodies dancing or some shit. Like, you're not really gonna see this stuff that much. You'll probably just see wobbly vision, blurry vision, ghost-like tracing vision. So whenever, as an example, you move your hand, you'll see your hand figure following it. And windows can have a lot more of a different appearance when you look at them. They'll look more practical, more shiny. Now, I would say the only bad part about mushrooms, personally for me, is whenever you trip by yourself. It really puts me in my head, and makes me just kind of like roll over and lay there. So I prefer anybody who's tripping to be tripping with somebody. Alright, now going into acid, right? It gives me a lot more of a different feeling. Going into acid, it feels more like a kind of an intense rush, while mushrooms comes in at waves of tingliness, hallucinations, emotions. Acid comes in more of at like a rush. I don't know what a lot of people take in other states or other countries for the microgram level, but I typically stick around 300 micrograms per tab. So it comes in at a rush, at a wave but it's like a really intense wave of hallucinations, visuals. Typically, whenever I take LSD, the first thing that I notice is that my body will get have really tingly waves of euphoria. So like tingliness, just basic euphoria, but at an intense level. And then my first visuals that I see or expect is if there's a door slightly open, the door will open and close, or I will look at the wall will start melting, like looking like it's melting. Same with the ceiling, and then the floor will have very, very geometric patterns, like very vivid. If there's like a skinny person or a really skinny person, they can look like a skeleton. That's one thing I noticed from my last trip. And one thing that's a lot different from mushrooms is if you know what loops are, you'll get hell of a lot more loops on acid than you will probably any psychedelic. Acid causes these things called loops, and loops are when, as an example, I could be talking to somebody. Alright, hey bro, I'm gonna go chill in the hot tub. And then I'll just be sitting there, right? And then I'll be like, I'm going to sleep. And then I'll just be sitting there. And then the other person can talk, you want some pizza? They'll just be sitting there. So that's basically what loops are. You say something, you forget what you said, then you go on to say another thing, and the cycle repeats. So that's one thing to expect from LSD. A lot of people trip out about. They'll get scared of these loops and stuff and not know how to handle it. The best thing you can do is either one, ride along and treat it like a game. You know what I mean? Treat it like a game. Or two, try your best to get yourselves out of it by simply changing the conversation or doing something to keep your mind on task and trying to keep it, more stable. But at the same time, whenever people hold on to that ego part and try to keep control over themselves, that's what causes bad trips, because they panic when they notice that they're not able to, and it can cause a lot of issues during a trip. Now, DMT is going to be very hard to describe. because there's not a lot that I can really say about it. But it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like whenever they talk about the tunnel of love. You know what I mean? I typically start off hearing this really high-pitched, loud ringing noise. It'll start off like, and then all of a sudden I'm just blasting off out of my body, and I'm going through these tunnels of many different colors, lights, fractals, and when you're in this space, it feels almost familiar. It almost feels very familiar, like you've been at this place before, right? And whenever you've been at this place, it's not really any fear. You don't really have any acknowledgement of time or space or existence. It's like it feels like you've been in that place forever, and all you can really do is just explore it, you know. It's definitely like complete ego dissociation. So if you have a fear of like tripping acid because you feel like you're losing connection with yourself, or you feel like it's too much and you really want to hold on to your ego and hold on to yourself, then I would just take mushrooms. But if you're really wanting to get past it and you're really wanting to get over that fear, DMT will help do that and will help you get used to just about any trip, because it's legitimately the God molecule. It's the God hallucinogenic molecule. And then whenever you go into the DMT space, you got to keep in mind, once you go in, there's no coming back. As soon as you ingest that molecule, you're gonna fucking trip. You're gonna trip out. You're gonna end up wanting to lay back, close your eyes, go to sleep. And once you blast off, all you can do is just sit tight for the ride and keep your hands inside the vehicle at all times. But like I said, it's kind of hard to explain DMT. And then once you come out of it, you're gonna have this overwhelming sensation of empowerment, of self-acknowledgement, like as if your mind got expanded and you got hit with all these details of wonderful intakes in life. And you know, it's just basically the God molecule. It's supposed to make everything better. So hopefully I gave you guys a little bit of input on what it's going to be like to trip for your first time on 3 different hallucinogens. If you want any other information, like maybe MDMA or maybe well, I guess bath salts, I've done those, but you know, just give me some info and I'll see what I can do with them. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. Make sure you leave it down in the make sure you leave it down in the comment, and like and subscribe, turn post notifications on. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.